Hi, my name is Scott Reynolds, and this is my wonderful wife, Janice Reynolds, who has been on this crazy journey with me of our 20-year real estate career and 25 years of marriage coming up in next August.
Yep.
So
You've survived.
the team has been wanting to do a podcast of kind of my real estate career and kind of where we started and where we're at now and kind of, talk about that journey. So
we're going to try to delve back in our memory, which is getting old,
Yeah.
and just let you guys know how we started and everything we've been through. So shall we begin?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I remember the day you told me you wanted to look into getting your real estate license.
Right.
Tell me what was going through your head.
So that was 2002, which is ironically 20 years ago. And I grew up in the technology industry. When I say grew up, I was about 21 years old and got involved into the cell phone industry. And that was back in the day where you paid per minute, and it was like roughly a dollar a minute, and you were installing them. I was installing them into executive cars and parking lots. So I was in that industry and all the way through the boom of it, of where the cell phone industry went into the big packages and had all the major growth. And it wasn't just for the wealthy, and it was more for everyday use. So that puts us right around 2002. And the industry started getting it started really changing. And I decided that, hey, it would be, to start looking at different avenues where I knew I was in more complete control of my own destination. And actually my stepfather gave me the idea to check into it. So that was, it's kind of weird going through all this. I was making at the time, as a 26 and 27-year-old, I was making, in the low $100,000. I had a company car. I had a healthcare and dental insurance.
I thought you were crazy.
Vision insurance. As a matter of fact, the benefit package was so nice, I didn't even have to pay for it. The employer paid for 100% of it. And but the industry started changing, and I was in a role where people retire in those positions. They don't just go away. So the opportunity to find another company to work with was very slim to none. So I got into the, I kind of one day, it was a Friday, I still remember like it was yesterday, it was casual Friday, so I was in my blue jeans and a sweatshirt, and I showed up to the big brokerage that's down the street from my house. At the time it was called Realty One. Now it's called Howard Hanna Real Estate. And I just kind of showed up to the office and asked for the manager. And I was just trying to figure out if I could afford to work in that industry. I didn't know what a real estate agent would make or if it was even possible. I had no insight. And big shout out to Molly Schmidtgen, who I still talk with and was a big mentor of mine. She really guided me through the real estate business.
And didn't she take you out to like the whiteboard and show you how much they made, kind of?
Yeah, so I was a technical person, and I'm a bit of a driver personality, and so I'm trying to find out how much money people make. And now I know what I know. It's not easy, but Molly had the patience to be able to explain it to me. So we were going round and round on it, and she basically didn't want to say it all depends on how hard you work. But she took me on the journey of so she took me out to the whiteboard where it has all the realtors and their sales. And so it was none of the agents were in. And she was like, this agent has had this sale, this sale, this sale, this sale, and this listing, and this listing, and this listing. And they're in the office and they're working every day and they're applying, and then the agent that sits here, I see them once a month and they are nowhere on the board. And so I was like, all right, so like if I show up and I work hard
and you get on the board.
and I get on the board, then that's the part where it got into my control, and she was just patient as all get out of walking a 27-year-old Scott through all that.
Awesome. So then you decided you're just going to go for it?
Yeah, so I was unlicensed at the time, and so I had the full-time job. I was working 50 hours a week, and then I was on call and was supporting the network. I was an engineering operations manager. And so I kind of had two jobs now. I had the job that I had, and then I had to learn how to be a real estate agent and get licensed and everything. So that was nights and weekends. And then I got my license and worked part-time. And the program that we set up internally with Molly and Janice was, I'm going to do both until something fails. So meaning that I wasn't able to go to work, or I wasn't able to serve a buyer or seller, which may sound bad, but that was 27-year-old Scott logic. And so the day that things broke, I remember like it was yesterday, I was on my lunch at a broker's open. So I took my lunch and held a house open that I had a listing at. And I had two cell phones, my real estate phone and my work phone. And the entire network at the cellular phone company crashed. And so...
And your work cell phone was in your car.
And my work cell phone was in the car because I wanted to be committed to the people that was coming through the house. And I got, the way cell phone industry works, there's escalations and everything. So I had vice presidents and presidents that were looking for updates, and I was in middle management, and I was unavailable. So that's when I got in the car and went to work. We tended to the crisis and decided, okay, this is the sign. So I turned in my 2 weeks. No, actually it was 3 or 4. Turned in ample notice and was very excited to hand my cell phone, and I think I even
your car,
my car and everything over to the vice president of our organization. So, and I still remember, it's like, I'm just excited to be an end user. So.
And this was like 4 years into our marriage, and we had just bought a house. So
yeah.
I was like stockpiling canned goods so we could eat, because I didn't know how this was all going to go down. But you actually,
I was always somewhat persuasive, and so I felt like I was scared I was dragging you along, and that you were just letting me do what I wanted to do. But I remember when you gave me the nudge and gave me that plaque that, take your shot. And so that's really all I needed. I just needed the confirmation to be 100% that she was on board with me, and that was the sign that you were. Yeah. So, and then just kind of unpacking that, going into I had a job that I went to every day, and I loved working. I think that would be the gift that I come with is work ethic, and I love problem solving. That's why things worked out really well in the technology. And it's translated really well for me in real estate. So I had to be at my job at 8 or 8:30, and I had an hour commute. And now my commute was about 1,500 feet. And so I just showed up to the office at the same time I normally showed up at work. I turned the lights on at the office, and no one else was there. And I just started working on my business plan and my work that I've been planning on.
And I remember I was like, for the first few months, I didn't understand what he did all day. I'm like, what do you do at the office all day? Because all I knew was like open houses. So I'm like, what else do you do? Why from 8 to 5 or whatever?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was. But there was plenty to do, and it was more of planning the week and the weekend and the following week of activities of reaching out to buyers and reaching out to sellers. And back in those days, we didn't have all the major portals sending leads to us. We had to generate the leads ourselves in more of an old-fashioned way. So that's what I was doing every day. And I think that's, and you know, one other thing that actually made it possible that Molly figured out for me was our industry pays 100%, meaning you don't get paychecks. You only get paid upon success. So you're 100% commission based rather than a salary. And she could see I was nervous, but she tells me now that she saw a work ethic. So she got a loan approved by the brokerage. It was a big brokerage. They had 3,500 agents. And they did she asked me what my mortgage was because that was my biggest concern. So I got a $2,000 a month payment that was go against future commissions. And that just helped me put my mind at ease and where I could just perform. And that's what we did. And so every time I made a commission check, I didn't get it. It went to the company, and then they would build up reserves and then give me $2,000. And it got to a point where I love that process. But it got to a point where they had $50,000 or $60,000 of my money. And then I remember I got a tax bill because I've never had a tax bill at that time. And it was like $20-something thousand, and I felt like I was going and asking for money from them, but she's like, money. She's like, Molly's like, it's your money. Just take it and like get off the program, and like you get all the checks.
And they really had to push us off the nest because we were still both freaked out about not having that.
But it was coming from a fixed mindset.
Yeah, so we needed that push.
Yeah. So anyway, big shout out to Molly. Huge. So
we got to get her on the show next. So
and then I think the other part, so you had roughly a $12 an hour job, which at the time, you know, and you had healthcare benefits. Mm-hmm. And so you were like our steady income, you know, of helping pay some of the bills and insurance. And then I think I freaked out Molly when I was getting too much into the details, and I saw myself getting too much into details, and then I talked Janice into quitting her job and coming and working with me full time. So now we're both unemployed, which today I still love. Yeah. So.
And all I knew how to do was make flyers. So.
Yeah, but you have grown a whole lot in photography, marketing, and doing all at a high level.
But like at the time, I was doing your showing appointments, scheduling that, getting feedback, like everything that is automated now. And we have sites and systems for, like we had to do by hand. So I really got to learn the business and learn what he did all day. So
MLS input.
Cool. Yeah, like I did every little piece of that. So
I would bring the listing folder in, and it was in caveman. So measurements, all the critical items, and Janice made it look pretty. And then my job was to go out and get more business, and she was to, you know, help execute all the business that I had gotten. So I think, you know, another dynamic with that office, I was so blessed and lucky that the office that I was a brand new agent to had an office manager with 30 or 40 years experience. And there were so many agents in that office that had 10 years and 15 and 20 years experience that I would learn so much from them. To this day, I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be in real estate at that time. And there was a Ken Codger that had a team, and he was like known for all his systems and direct mail and billboards, but he was very systemized. Didn't have the big person, like a big extrovert type personality, little ego, but he had the systems. And then there was another lady, Wendy Zambeau. She did and still does high-end, all the high-end stuff along Lake Erie front, and Wendy was just just really good at what she did. And the thing that stood out to me about Wendy was Wendy just had fun, and like she just put deals together. She probably wasn't as systemized as
No, I don't think so.
as Ken, but she was sold a lot of real estate. And then the other person was Carol Crayson, which was just the professional service, professional, just everything was professional. Even the staples on the brochure was in the right order. So, so I wanted a little bit of each of their attributes to build what I saw myself in real estate. So,
And
but
it was nice. They kind of all took us in once they realized we were serious because we
Yeah.
were so young and probably it looked like we didn't know what we were doing. But they were all awesome,
Yeah.
helping us out. So
and through Molly's, my manager's coaching, because it was truly coaching. It wasn't just managerial. She helped harness my energy and got me on the path where to be a top producer in that office in short order was very humbling, and so that was really nice doing that. So I still remember doing like big newspaper ads and stuff that you don't even really do anymore.
Yeah, we were constantly running ads in
Direct mail.
direct mail. Like that was what we did. There was no social media or websites. Well, there was a website, but
Yeah.
so.
And then that was 3 years, and then we came down to Florida.
We started a team up there a little bit.
Yeah, before we started that, as my sales increased, we added a buyer's agent, and then we added another buyer's agent, and then we
Uncle
added
Rick.
Yeah, Uncle Rick. Big shout out to
We
Uncle
love
Rick.
Uncle Rick.
And
He's doing awesome today.
Yeah. And still running. He has his partner Jeff is up there, and they're still selling real estate. So, but then we got a lot of interest of coming down to Vero Beach and being closer to your mom, and your mom and dad, and the climate and everything here.
Yeah.
So
winter's yuck in Ohio. So.
Yeah. So then came down to Vero Beach, and I was so used to the big brokerage and the success of the big brokerage. The big broker at the time here, as far as agent count and offices at the time, was Coldwell Banker, Ed Schlitt. Got to do a lot of work with Linda Schlitt. She was amazing, still is, and doing a lot of business still today. And then after I learned a little bit more, then really started wanting to work a little bit more on the beach. And Norris and Company at the time was the big beachside company doing all the volume, and got a chance to work. Kay Brown and Jane Schwerin and Gina were leading that brokerage, and got to learn a lot working there, and met a lot of good people that was there.
So we worked with a lot of legends down here too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Then actually I had some brief insanity at the.
We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, at the recession when all the banks were going out of business and all that. So during the brief insanity, I got a chance to work with Hobie Hanna in the real estate, and who is the third, is the number one brokerage it's a privately owned brokerage in the United States. And really got to learn a lot about the nuts and bolts of the business, and a profit and loss statement, and expenses, and production, and things like that. And then we couldn't take the winters and the world. So that was like I want to date this a little bit. That was like 2009, 2010. Well, we were back down in 2009.
Yeah.
So that was 2009, and for those that don't know, it was ugly time. It was a housing recession. It was a recession, a lot of foreclosures, short sales, and it was just a nutty time. So then came down here and worked at Dale Sorensen Real Estate in the 2009 timeframe. And Dale and his father had talked to me, Mr. Sorensen had talked to me about starting up a downtown office with them. So we created a little partnership for that office, and then I met with Bobby Holt. We recruited her in her organization. It was Sea Turtle at the time, and we Bobby and I ran the office and grew that office from nothing, absolutely nothing. And during a very ugly
everyone
time.
Thought we were crazy for opening a new office.
Yeah. Offices were shutting down, and anyway, it was a mess.
Awesome,
But it was actually a good time, it turns out. So we grew that office to about 80 or so agents. It may have been a little bit more. And then we got the idea of opening up a Brevard office. And I think we got that up to 80 agents as well. Maybe more in the downtown office. Anyway, one of the proudest moments that we were able to accomplish is we were in short time, I would say in 5 years, 6 years, those two new offices, the downtown office and the Brevard office, we were able to outproduce in volume the two legacy offices that were on the beach, which was just it was an internal challenge of Bobby's and I, and or at least mine, at least. So it was, and it was like a big accomplishment. So, and then we decided to go, I wanted to go back into individual sales, and then we went through, when I left Sorensen, went to Treasure Coast Sotheby's. And then we found a really good company that was Compass, nationwide company that is really built for teams. And I really wanted to go in deep on having a team, as with the experience of being in the brokerage business with individual agents doing their own thing, and then always having my our team. Wanted to go in deep with having a team and a team office. So
yeah, and you always said your goal was having a brokerage within a brokerage, ever since we started trying to form teams. So.
Yeah, and with Compass being the a nationwide brokerage, and they're set up to really just help support teams. So Janice has a whole team dedicated to marketing that helps her department. I have a management team that helps me in the team leadership. And it's very it's set up totally different than a typical brokerage. And I like the minimum requirements. So you don't have a lot of new agents and things like that. So that's a nice piece of it. So, gosh, so that brings us.
That's where we're at today.
That's where we're at today. And really what we've been doing is pulling the levers to be able to be at scale. And I really would call it a teamerage. Which is where there's standards and accountability and lots of training and one-on-ones with the agents, and as opposed to individual agents that some people may sell one house a year, or someone may sell 50 homes a year. Everybody is at a high level and individual performance. So, and that makes it where all the tools and all the technology is relevant to people that are performing at a high level because they need it.
Yeah, so that was one of the questions, just looking back over the last 20 years, what are some things you've learned and brought with you along the way that are now you're implementing in the team?
I have learned so much. And I mean it in a good way, because sometimes you're learning what to do, and you're also learning what not to do. And I never look at failure as a negative thing. I think it's a very data rich of information of what to improve upon. And so that seems like something we've been doing at the whole time. The big change that really helped us scale was me moving out of personal production, which was scary.
That was like you joining real estate, you getting out of production.
Yeah.
It was the same fear we both had.
Yeah, so getting out of production. But the thing that I love about what my role is with the team is I still look at myself as sales. I am part of the sales of the agents. Not every single sale, but I love the problem resolving the problems, figuring out helping if the agent needs help with solutions with this transactional help, helping an agent move from $5 million of production to $10 million of production, or taking the $20 million producer to get to $30 million or even $40 million of production. So I really, really love doing that. So I stay more in the sales lane, and we built a team around the operations side of the business, the marketing side of the business, and I stay a little bit, every once in a while I get in your guys' lanes.
Floats around with a bunch of ideas.
But I like, my passion is more in the sales and helping the agents grow their business.
Yeah, and growth. That's a big
thing. I'm a little bit obsessed with growth. So finding people that like growth as well, we tend to get along really well. People that don't like growth as much, I have to like downshift a little bit and go different direction. Mm-hmm. So some things that I've learned. I don't know. I've learned it costs money to make money. Investing into marketing, investing into technology, investing into people, whether it's time or money. Hiring Tariq here behind the camera, hiring Danielle, handling all the social media, hiring Kayla as our sales manager that is helping with all the sales and training and the things that need to, the fundamental things that helps keep everything going. And she, obviously creates culture. Mm-hmm. So basically hiring out the things that maybe is not my strongest suit, and where I can focus at a deeper level of helping the agents. That would probably be, and that took a long time.
Till about the last few years. So.
Yeah. So, and being exposed to some mentors, some really good mentors. Molly Schmidtgen was the very beginning of, without her, it would have never happened. Mm-hmm. Let me see.
Tom Ferry.
Actually it started with Mike Ferry, his father. I learned a lot from Mike Ferry, and then I've been coached by Mike Ferry and Tom Ferry, and I'm still coached today by the Tom Ferry organization. And that has given me, real estate is as a practitioner, a very lonely world. And there's no one to share all the intimate details and with and get good feedback. So being coached by Tom Ferry has been pushing me to places where I probably wouldn't have pushed myself, putting me in touch with other teams that are maybe at a higher level that have been, more developed for a longer time, where we can compare notes and masterminding. That's really helped. And like getting real transparent, talking about profit and loss, sharing what your expenses are, sharing what your profit is, and that profit's not a bad word. Yeah. And then also the training and marketing, for sure. Mm-hmm. So that's been
eye-opening for those of us who've gotten to go to the events too.
Yeah.
Because you don't see everything until you're there.
It was scary moving into team coaching because it's like not cheap. But what the team coaching does is it gives our coach, I love our coach Jared Davis, he's in Canada. He coaches me one-on-one weekly, and he also meets with my management team and also the agents twice a month. And just getting that exposure to that network and the pushing of through the business is really, really helpful. So, but I felt like that was a big, I was scared of, that obligation.
Yeah, I was like, you're going to pay someone to tell you what to do. Isn't that why you're in real estate? So you can do whatever. But yeah, I've learned a lot too. So
yeah, we've had a push and pull a little bit about things that are needed, and sometimes she's absolutely right, and sometimes she doesn't see the whole
Sometimes
picture.
I'm not. So.
So what would be something else you'd say that I've learned or we've learned?
I mean, a big thing for me, and it happened during COVID, and then it happened like kind of now that everyone's freaking out, is like when the world stops, we don't.
Yeah.
So we just have to like change our focus or shift a little. Like we opened the office when everything shut down. And so the agents were coming in here. There's like a little group of us, that's all we saw. And they called people and asked if they wanted toilet paper. Like we were just trying to stay busy and keep our names out there and be helpful.
Yeah.
So the shifting is a huge thing versus like just stopping work until things get better.
I mean, we were calling people when it was all locked down and it was really weird and there was a lot of uncertainty. And there was like a run on, people were hoarding toilet paper. We were calling people asking if they needed toilet paper just to stay in touch.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird now, but it was just a weird time, and the state shut down and we were building out this office. And we didn't know if electricians would come and work, but we found people that wanted to work, and we got the office built. Actually, got a lot done during that time
We get the most done when everyone else is not working. So, and then we found out, we have a great team because they wanted to be here working too.
Yep.
So.
And yeah, they were all in making calls, and we didn't have the computer set up. It looked like a third world call center with like computers on the desk, and I wish I still have some photos, but but it shows the culture of the team, and they bought in and believed it, and we were very successful during that time. A lot of companies and brokerages teams, agents were pulling back their marketing, and we actually doubled down on our marketing because it now created a cost per. It just created an opportunity in the advertising space, and the cadence of staying in touch. Like we had 50 listings at the time, and we had, God only knows, 40 or 50 contracts that were impending during that time. And the set of questions, from sellers: do I want people in my home? Where are the people from? Are they from New York? We don't want people from New York. Because it was like the epicenter.
That still seems like a bad dream, though.
Yeah, and then buyers that were under contract, they were questioning if they were doing the right thing. So the conversations was like so high it was like a 3-month hurricane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so that was usually in times where the market is changing, or we tend to double down because we pretty much know what a lot of the practitioners are going to do. Yeah. That's one thing that we learned. Another thing that we learned.
And I think a big asset is like we've learned we want the right people on the team.
Yeah.
Versus just having anyone who sells a lot. Like you have to fit in our culture. So.
Yep.
And that makes everyone else work well too, because you don't want someone who doesn't fit in.
That's one of the things I really love about having a team is that whereas a brokerage, and this is not a dig on any brokerage, just the brokerage business. So, where they just let anybody come for the most part, unless they've got a criminal record or, anything like that. And if they sell one house or sell 50, they don't care. Not, you know what I mean? Not care, but it's a numbers game. And where we're different, that it is a different set of accountability, a different set of marketing that we spend for each agent. It's totally different. If someone is not into that. I guess culture or accountability, they're not a fit for our team, but they may be a fit at a brokerage where they can figure it out and take some more time. So that's some of the differences between and one of the challenges or one of the hard things is like when someone's not fitting into that is letting the agent go. It's really hard because they become part of the family and everything. But if they're not part of the, all the other, I relate
The
it
work
to,
ethic? Or...
yeah, I relate it to football or basketball, a team sport, where if you have a defensive line that is not super good, then other teams are scoring lots of touchdowns. Or, if there's a weakness in the team, then usually that gets exploited. And so we like to have the team as strong as possible.
Yeah, is there anything?
I could go on and on
Yeah.
about things that we've learned.
I was gonna wrap it up. Oh, I was about to wrap it up.
So, those are a lot of things that we've learned, and I could go on and on with a lot more.
But it's been fun going down memory lane.
Yep.
So, and now you guys have a little glimpse of the last 20 years of our lives. So.
Yep. And I'm excited for the next 10. I look at everything in 10 years increments. So the next 10 years would be a lot of fun.
Yep.
So if I can ever do anything for you, feel free to reach out. All my information will be below, and hopefully this wasn't too long of a story of boring anybody. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
I never know how to end those.